I'm Carmen, the founder of Crew, and I'm building a new community in Dubai, helping founders network with more intention. In today's episode, I sat down with Aida Roth, one of our crew members and the founder of Wayve, a performance marketing agency that she's founded after years working at Google. But this isn't just another ex-Googler starts marketing agency story. Aida went through something that no one should have to go through at such a young age, a trauma that had the potential to derail her entire life. Most people would call it PTSD, but Aida has reframed it as post-traumatic growth. And in this episode, we talked about how she's used that new shift to completely rebuild her life and her business using this new mindset. It's an incredibly powerful story. We also got tactical. What do founders really need to understand before they spend a single dirham on marketing? Why it's a complete mistake to treat marketing like a vending machine, hoping that if you spend more on ads, you'll see more revenue. And we talked about what still matters in a world where the algorithm constantly shifts. Aida also breaks down the marketing patterns that she sees in Dubai, the traps that founders typically fall into, and the legacy that she hopes Wayve will leave behind. So let's dive straight in, with Aida explaining her story in a completely different light to start.
So, born and raised in Sweden, but of Persian ethnicity. My parents, they separated quite early in my age. And when I was 21 years old, unfortunately, my father passed away, which was extremely heavy for me. So my body completely shut down physically, mentally. I was in complete, like my body just did not function. I was definitely depressed and I was going through the grief. So going through that, and it was mid-university, it took a while after processing that grief. There was a friend who took me out and he said, what if you put this negative energy and everything that has happened to you into something positive to honor the life you have today and the life that your father had? And so there's two things that changed my perspective. One of them was appreciate what you have and not just grieve things you don't have. Unfortunately, my father was not in the picture anymore, but I have had a very supportive family, a very loving family, especially my mother. And on top of that, before my father passed away, I was always this very ambitious person and I had sort of this tunnel vision. You know, I have a goal and nothing's going to be in my way of that goal. But when that happened, it sort of put a brake on that train that was in the tunnel. And I realized I do have to enjoy life along the way because life is way too short and I need to maximize my own life and live it for myself and not just all the achievements. So what I did was I was 21 at the time and I wrote a list of 30 things I wanted to accomplish before I turned 30. And these things were things that were outside of my career.
Right.
It was everything from traveling more. So I wanted to travel, 6 out of 7 continents. There were loads of countries I wanted to see, loads of things I wanted to learn, loads of things I wanted to do. And so along that way, I actually performed better, both in school and career, because I started to enjoy my life more. And it wasn't until a couple of years later when I started to talk about that, I had this big conference at Google where I actually talked about this and did a bit of research of, how can you switch a trauma to become something positive in your life, and realized that far too many people know about PTSD. Everyone knows what PTSD is, but far too little people know that there's also another side of the coin called PTG, so post-traumatic growth, where you take something traumatic that's happened to you and try to become stronger and grow from that. It has taught me grit. It has taught me resilience. There's few things that can break me down after going through that. So, as a founder, as someone who's focused a lot on the career, the path is not straight from point A to point B. There's a lot of downfalls. And that taught me a lot on how to manage downfalls in my career and life.
I love the post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And yeah, I can definitely resonate to that. I want to switch gears now and talk a little bit more about what you do with digital marketing. Can you break down exactly what digital marketing involves? If I'm a founder listening to this, what should I really understand about digital marketing before I spend anything?
Digital marketing is much broader than what people think. There's so many different aspects of digital marketing. So there's a lot of times when people come to me and go, oh, you do digital marketing. Do you do this part? And I'm like, no, that's not exactly what I do, because digital marketing is big.
Right.
There's everything from what we used to see in the past, which is rich media banners that you would see. Now we have influencer marketing, native, programmatic. What I focus on is called performance marketing. Which is essentially Google ads and social media ads. But then you also have to look at the other puzzle pieces of what brings all of that together. So measurements, collecting data and using that data, graphic design. There's so many different aspects to digital marketing. It's not just one thing.
Right. Yeah. And can you tell me then a bit more about performance marketing? So if I'm a founder, why would I need performance marketing, or what can I get from using performance marketing in my business?
So what I love about performance marketing is we also call it data-driven marketing, because a lot of it has to do with data. You want everything to be measurable. And you want to try to understand all of that data that you're collecting, both within the business, but also what you see in ads, and then try to translate that to how can we grow the business more with the data that we have. So one of the most common misperceptions that I get is people think because I do social media ads, I work with influencer marketing,
right.
But influencer marketing is not as measurable. Social media ads though is. So we have this mantra in our company: if it's not measurable, we're not doing it.
Right.
We need to be able to show the results in numbers.
I love that. Well, you've said that a lot of people treat digital marketing like a vending machine. Like if they spend more on ads, they expect more sales. What are they missing when they operate like that?
There's so many things. I mean, when I was working at Google, there was this one thing they would tell us, which is that 15% of searches that happens every day are brand new. So there's no such thing as one fits for all, or this fits at all times. There's no such thing as I'll just put the copy and the creatives in and the strategy in and the targeting in, and then I can just let it run and just add more money if I want more in return. That's not how it works. It has a lot to do with demand. It has a lot to do with the strategy. It is a craftsmanship. You need to constantly be on top of things to make it work. Something that worked last year is not going to work today.
Right. So what should I focus on then instead? Like what is working today? What can I focus on?
It has a lot to do with the trends, the demands of people. For example, AI search was not that big just recently.
Right.
If you scroll back 2 years, AI search was not as big as it is today. If you scroll back another 2 years, TikTok was not as big as it is today.
Right.
If you scroll back another 2 years, so for each day that goes, I, as a media agency and expert within the field, constantly have to keep myself updated with what the trends are, what are the demands, what are people looking at, what should we be looking at in order to stay as relevant as possible for the consumers. If you're not relevant, and if you're not using your data right, and if you're not doing the correct targeting, you're missing out, and it can happen instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a crew member, even with AI search, they said that they've been actually generating business because they're showing up in AI search. And, it's crazy that, you got to stay ahead of the times, right? All right. So have you noticed any patterns that are unique in Dubai specifically when it comes to marketing?
Yeah. So before moving to Dubai, I have I would say maybe 12 years of experience in digital marketing, but mainly with Northern Europe, Scandinavia, UK and Ireland, and the US. And what surprised me moving to Dubai is the share of wallet and what people spend the most in are things that are not as measurable. So out of home is very big here. Influencer marketing is very big here. So I found a lot of advertisers where when I try to describe to them what data-driven marketing is and what performance marketing is, one of the biggest misconceptions is how fast they should see the results. So that is number one. They think things happen instantly, they're impatient, but it still takes a while for that data to generate conversions and generate sales or leads or whatever it is that you're looking for.
How long are we talking, just out of interest?
It really depends on the amount of data you have. The more data you have, the bigger the advertiser you are, the faster that goes.
Right.
But I would definitely say it's still a minimum of 2 weeks.
Okay.
Minimum.
Sure.
And that is the shortest amount of time that I've seen with any of my advertisers. And sometimes that could go on to 60 days.
Which is quite a commitment, right? Like you're asking people to not see results for that length of time. Yeah.
Exactly. So they get quite impatient. So that is one of the first things. Second thing is, if you want your data-driven marketing to work in the best possible way, you shouldn't just be looking at the data you have online. So what we can see in terms of the events and activities on your website, or what we can see in terms of your historical data with what you've done with ads before. One thing that I feel like the European markets are far more ahead than what I've seen here is they look at more granular data inside of the business. So not just how do we get as big of a return on investment as possible in ads, but also how do we make sure that we're as profitable as possible? So profit is something they take into place. Retention rate of their customers, average order value, gross margins, which is profit, and customer lifetime value. So the advertisers that I've been working with in Europe and the US, they're far more ahead when it comes to this, looking inside of the business. How can we make sure that we utilize the data that we have inside of the business, the things that Google Analytics or Facebook ads or Google ads can't see.
Right.
And then we feed that into these systems. And that's how you see great results.
Okay. That's interesting. Why do you think these other markets are further ahead?
I would say, so they're not necessarily further ahead in digitalization. That is the interesting part. That was the big wow moment for me moving here. Okay. Because businesses are quite digital here. Like a lot of businesses, they have their own apps.
Right.
If you order something, you get it instantly. So it's that like instant, everything happens so fast. When I'm back home in Sweden, I'm actually surprised by how slow things are. So when I order something, it could take hours, if not days, for it to come to my home. But when I do it here, if I'm cooking, for example, and I'm missing an ingredient, it's by my doorstep within 15 minutes. So they're very digital when it comes to a lot of other aspects. But I think the part that they are a bit behind on is, okay, so we're quite digitally advanced. We do have our app, we do have all of this data, but then how do we use that to make great marketing? So a lot of times I see that these two work in silos at the advertisers here. That's what they don't do in the European and US markets.
Right. Okay, that's fascinating. So obviously like the platforms change, the algorithms shift, the laws keep evolving. What stayed the same in great marketing, even as everything has been moving at this crazy pace that we know of?
If I look back at when I got my bachelor's in IT and marketing, I always tell people 90% of what I learned is not even relevant today. If you look at Google was founded in 1998. Facebook came to at least Sweden in 2007. And TikTok happened it became big during the pandemic. But the one thing that stays the same is good branding. No matter how you advertise, if someone can recognize your ad, especially when it comes to video ad, by the color scheme, the brand, without seeing the logo.
Right.
I always bring this one big example that I learned in university. Did you know that Santa was not dressed in red before Coca-Cola did the ad?
No way. What was the color? Green?
Brown.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
So it's branding.
Yeah. So one of the fun things I used to do, because I'm a marketing nerd, no matter if it's digital or if it's out of home or if it's branding, or I would be the kind of nerd that would show up at the cinema when the ads were running.
Right.
And I would have a competition with my friends. So if you could guess the brand before the logo or the brand was showing, you would win. And whoever would win would have to pay for the snacks or for the tickets.
I love that.
And there's a lot of big companies that have done that well. Coca-Cola is one of them. As soon as you see Santa in that Coca-Cola, the Christmas ad, you immediately think Coca-Cola. But it actually takes a while before the brand shows.
Right.
And other things, the way they use the colors and, they have this togetherness. So you can instantly recognize that it's Coca-Cola. Same thing with Nike. You can instantly recognize if it's Nike. So good branding is a long-term game.
So do you feel like you can already tell if, for instance, an ad's going to do really well just based on if you're seeing great branding? You can predict.
If my friends and I manage to guess the brand when we're at the cinema and we see the ads before the brand shows, they've done an amazing job.
Done great. Okay, yeah. That's the new KPI for
that's
everybody,
the KPI.
Right? All right, so you're not just running campaigns anymore, you're rewiring how your clients grow. What's the one shift you wish more founders made when it comes to how they approach marketing inside their business?
Well, one of the things that I did touch on before was like I said, a lot of companies here, a lot of them, they work in silos. So they do think that how they work with the customers and the customer experience and the customer journey should be separated from brand and marketing. That's not the case. These two go hand in hand. So if your marketing team understands the data in the customer journey, it will make it easier for them to try to understand what KPIs they should be aiming for. So when it comes to customers, a lot of advertisers that I know, they do have the data, they just don't know how to use it. Because like I said, a lot of companies here in Dubai, they're so digitally advanced and they do have the data, they just don't know what to do with that data.
Right.
And the more information you implement in these marketing systems, the ad systems, Google ads, Meta ads, TikTok ads, whatever it may be, the more those algorithms will take those signals into account when it starts running the ads. And the more you feed into it, the easier it will become for that to generate more money for you and growth for you. The number one thing that I see a lot of advertisers missing out on that they keep forgetting, stop looking at ROAS, return on ad spend, which is our KPI for return on investment. So a lot of brands come to me and they say, we have an amazing ROAS. Great, but what does that mean? Oh, that means that for every dollar we put in, we get $800 back or $1,000 back. But then you look at their ads and you see that they're kind of constrained because they've set such a high ROAS target. But if you look at the profitability of the company and you want to grow your company, you should be lowering that by taking profitability into account. Once you do that, you increase the amount of ads being shown and you increase the reach and the exposure, and then you will grow. So I don't think so far within the year and a half that I've been running my business here that I've found any advertisers doing that correctly.
Right. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Gosh, you've got a lot of hard work to do.
Yeah.
So I guess circling back to your agency, what do you want Wayve to be known for? When people think of your agency, what is the legacy here for you?
I want businesses to try to understand how to connect these two. So there's a lot of performance marketing agencies here. There's a lot of data-driven agencies here. But I do think quite a few are as involved with the businesses as we are. So when we have clients, we actually go further than just looking at Google Ads, Google Analytics, and Meta ads, and what all of these systems are telling us. We actually sit together with our clients. We look at the customer journey. We look at the profitability. We try to set new KPIs. We try to calculate customer lifetime value. We try to create something that is not just for the short run, but something that is sustainable that they can use in the long run. That is how you build sustainability. So I want Wayve Media Agency not to just be known as this amazing performance marketing agency or data-driven agency where we've taken knowledge from Scandinavia and UK and Europe to here and the US. I want us to be known for changing the way our clients look at their KPIs and understand how to grow their businesses. Not just within ads, but grow as a business.
Yeah, looking at it more holistically.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Just to finish it off, what is your typical client, or who are you looking to work with? Just out of interest, if you're a founder with a small business, can they work with you, or is it just small, medium enterprises, large companies? I'd love to know, who's your profile that you work with?
Currently today, we have not just clients here, we have clients and international clients as well from other countries. We work with literally all sizes of businesses. It's everything
and all
from
budgets.
All sizes. We have clients that haven't spent $1 in digital marketing before, but they know that the business needs it. We have clients that are already well established and they're spending millions. So we really have all kinds of clients. But the dream clients for me is clients who do understand what performance marketing is, not just I'll put $1 in within a few days, I'm going to see a few dollars coming back, because that's not how it works.
Right.
Even though ads themselves digital ads are working so fast, even though digital marketing evolves so fast, if you want to create a long-term sustainable marketing strategy, then there's changes you need to do, not just within advertisement, but also within your business. And we are looking for the clients who are willing to do that. There is a bit of work that they have to do themselves as well in order to achieve that.
They need to put in the commitment.
They do. They do. It's far more easy with e-commerces, because with e-com, everything is measurable.
Right.
You can see from the moment someone is exposed to an ad to the moment someone converts, and then what the order value is, the retention, the average, all of that. However, lead generation is a challenge, and a lot of advertisers here don't know how to measure the leads coming in and what that actually means for their advertisement and their business. Also, brick and mortar clients, physical stores, same thing there. Making it measurable. It is limited, but it's far more advanced than people think. So, but they do need to put that work in.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I feel like I've learned a lot about performance marketing, especially. And it was really, really interesting to learn more about your business and what you're trying to achieve here is very, it's incredible. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.